Mike Bradford was the happiest man walking this earth. In 10 days, he would marry Angela Wilson, his sweetheart, the love of his life, the woman with whom he would respect his vows and promises till death do them part. Angela's bridesmaids would be her 3 best friends, Betty, Christine, and Dolly. The 4 were always referred to as the ABCDs. Mike and Angela met during the wedding of his friend Paul to Betty. He was the best man, and she was one of the bridesmaids. They exchanged their phone numbers and soon started dating. A year later, both decided to tie the knot. Christine had been living with her boyfriend Ron for a couple of months, and she was waiting eagerly for the day Ron would propose. Dolly, on the other hand, was changing boyfriends every 6 months. For the time being, she was with Al. Mike's mom, Mary, never liked Angela. He knew about it and thought that with time everything would be okay. He considered it a certain type of jealousy that some mothers had against their daughters-in-law, thinking that they were stealing their sons away. And Mike was the only child. His father, Josh, was different. On the first day he brought Angela to his parents, Josh had told him, "Son, you made a choice, you took a decision, now you'll have to bear the responsibilities." Angela's parents, Peter and Julie, blessed the relationship since the beginning. Peter liked Mike the first time they met. Julie was a bit protective over her daughter, always looking for the best things for her. She asked Mike to buy a house because her daughter could not live in a rented one. Mike said that they would stay in his apartment and would buy a house once they could start a family. Like for Betty's bachelorette party, only the 4 friends would celebrate Angela's party. It would be held 1 week before the lovers exchanged their vows. The location was kept a secret. "Hi, Mike," Betty greeted Mike at the door. "Come in. Paul is in the bathroom. Have a seat." "Just want to go over a few things with him." "Don't stress yourself, Mike. Everything will be fine. I know how you are feeling these days, but take it easy," Betty encouraged him. "I know, but I don't want a last-minute issue on my wedding day," Mike replied. "We will be there to solve it if ever there is one. Don't worry." Betty's cell phone rang. "I need to take this call." She stood up and walked to the kitchen. "Paul will be out any minute." Mike could still hear the running water. Alone, after 5 minutes, Mike walked to the kitchen to pour himself a glass of water. He could see Betty on the patio. She was still on the phone with her back facing him. He filled a glass and wanted to go outside for some fresh air. When he arrived at the back sliding door, which was half opened, he could hear Betty talking even if she was speaking softly, almost whispering. "No, no, no." She was a bit irritated. "Why can't you understand that we can't afford 3 guys?" Mike stood still and frowned. "Their fees start when they leave Louisville. Don't forget that we'll also need to pay for their trip charge to Elmer Davis and back." Mike leaned against the wall, trying not to be seen. "With the rent of the cottage, booze, and food, we can't spend that much. Don't forget that only 3 of us are sharing all the cost. We can't let Angela contribute a single cent. It's her party. 2 guys are enough. I'll do all the shopping on Saturday morning." "Cottage, Elmer Davis Lake, guys from Louisville." Mike almost fainted. "We will all drive in my SUV. It's better. Okay, I need to go now. Mike is here to meet Paul." Mike immediately put his glass in the sink and rushed to the living room. Seconds later, Paul walked down the stairs. Back to his apartment, Mike thanked himself for having been able to keep his cool in front of Betty. He knew she was talking about the bachelorette party. It would be one girl's night. He was wondering who the 2 guys were and what would be their roles. The girls would rent a cottage by Elmer Davis Lake, north of Georgetown, and the 2 guys would come from Louisville. He closed his eyes for 5 minutes, working it out in his brain. When he opened them, he knew what he had to do. He took his laptop, logged in, and searched for a tracking GPS device. He went through all the types that were available and decided on the right one with all the features he was looking for. He purchased one online with express delivery. Mike's phone rang. "Hello," he said, recognizing Angela's number. "Honey," Angela's voice was sweet. "Everything okay?" "Yes, sure." "Why are you asking?" The way you said hello, she answered. I have been a little bit stressed these last few days. You shouldn't be. Betty called and told me how worried you look today. I am, Angela. I am, I replied. You are not planning to run off at the last minute? Angela joked. I love you too much to do such thing. I know, honey, and I love you as much as you love me, she answered. Angela, we've been exclusive since we started dating, and I'll keep my vows and promises we'll make in 10 days. You are and will be my only woman till I die. Darling, of course I expect you to be a one-woman man. We have been exclusive, and I'll keep my vows and promises too. I trust you, Angela, I replied. Honey, is there something wrong? I get the feeling that... Everything's okay, Mike cut her off. It's that we are taking a huge step in our life. It's a great decision. Our future depends on it. Building a relationship and having a future together is like building a house. If the base is not solid, it will collapse. The base here is love, trust, fidelity, communication, truth, caring for each other, and above all, respect. Why are you telling me all of this, Mike? Do you have any doubts? Don't you trust me? Angela asked. I already told you that I trust you. I only wanted you to know what I expect in our relationship as a married couple. We will be the perfect couple, Mike. We are a match made in heaven, Angela answered. I have a few things to do. I'll call you later. Yes, sweetheart, I love you. Bye. Mike hung up. As soon as Angela hung up, she knew there was something wrong with Mike. He didn't reply with, I love you too, as he used to. His voice was different than normal. Her phone rang. It was Betty. Hi, my angel, Betty greeted. Hey, just talk to Mike. I get the impression that there is something upsetting him. Don't you worry. It's premarital anxiety. Everything will be okay once he's between your legs during your honeymoon. Hope you are right, Angela replied. I am, Betty emphasized. Now let's talk about this Saturday. We'll all ride in my SUV. Friday evening, Mike parked quietly on the street and walked to Paul's house. Betty's SUV was in the driveway. He looked around and then slid under the vehicle. The GPS was in a small leather bag which he fixed to the frame of the car with 2 cable ties. He then pulled on it to ensure that it was well secured. Once satisfied, he made his way to his car and drove away. Saturday morning, Mike was parked 2 blocks from Paul's house. His eyes were fixed on his Android phone. Suddenly, the small dot started moving. He started his car and followed her with a reasonable amount of distance between them. She stopped first at a grocery store, then drove to a liquor store, then to pick up Christine and Dolly. When Mike followed Betty to her place, he was satisfied with the GPS. Once in his apartment, he called Paul to find out the time Betty was leaving in the afternoon. Why are you asking? Do you want to follow her? Paul laughed over the phone. No, I was thinking coming to your place and watching a DVD, drink some beer and order some Chinese food. I like this idea. Wait, let me check with Betty. After a pause. She'll be leaving around 4. Okay, if nothing comes up, I'll be at your place around 5. Anytime, bro. At 4, Mike was parked in the same spot as that morning. 15 minutes later, he put the engine on and followed Betty's SUV in the distance. She picked up Christine first, then Dolly, and finally Angela. When she hit Route 227, Mike left a gap of 500 meters between the vehicles. When Mike saw the spot not moving, he knew they had reached their destination. He parked on the shoulder and waited. He called Paul, letting him know that something had come up and would not be able to come to his place as planned. At dusk, he started his car and drove slowly. He passed the cottage and could see Betty's SUV parked in the yard. The cottage was in the middle of a large plot of land on the waterfront with trees on both sides. He parked his car in the woods some 100 meters away. He took his bag, in which he had already packed what he would need. He walked to the cottage and hid behind a large tree. From where he was, he could see the 4 friends, all in bikinis, having a barbecue party by the lake. They were drinking wine. He could hardly hear them and did not want to take the risk of approaching any closer. After about 1 hour, it was dark. Mike was tired of standing and watching the 4 women partying. Suddenly, he saw Betty grab her cell phone. Then she yelled to the others, "They'll be here in 15 minutes." They were all super excited. They quickly put the fire out, brought all bottles and food inside, and they pulled all the curtains closed. Mike swore he would not see what would be happening inside. Then he heard the screeching sound of tires. A Honda had just turned into the yard and parked next to the SUV. 2 men climbed out with a CD player. Mike frowned when he saw them dressed in long overcoats. Betty opened the front door, hugged the 2 guys, brought them inside, and locked the door. Mike quietly sneaked up to the cottage and came to a window. The curtain was fully drawn and he could not peep inside. He tried another window, but no luck. He quietly walked to the back by the lake and tried the sliding door. It opened. They were in a hurry and very excited that they forgot to lock the back door, he thought. The cottage's ground floor consisted of a living, dining, and kitchen without any separation. He slid the door open a few inches and placed his camera, connected to a small power bank, on the floor. From where Mike was, he could see what was happening in the living. He was in the dark, and nobody could see him from the living room unless he made a noise. All 4 women were sitting on a couch next to each other. One of the men switched on the CD player, and immediately the music roared in the cottage. They removed their coats and threw them away while moving their bodies with the rhythm of the music. They were wearing only a G-string. The girls cheered with excitement. "2 strippers," Mike murmured with anger. The men started to dance with the music and approached them while shaking their hips back and forth in an erotic motion. Betty tried to touch one of the guys, but he swiftly avoided her. The women booed the guys. They repeated the same gesture again and again, not letting the girls touch them, teasing them. The 4 friends were becoming crazy and super excited. After 30 minutes of dancing, they pulled down their G-strings, revealing themselves. The girls' eyes widened with excitement. The strippers began teasing them in a provocative manner. "Who is the chosen one?" one striper asked. The 3 friends pointed towards Angela. "Won't you say hello to my friend?" he asked Angela. "Hello," she giggled. "Won't you kiss him, now that you are his friend?" "Kiss, kiss, kiss," Angela's friends chanted. Angela bent forward and kissed the tip. "Go ahead," Betty encouraged her while gently pushing her forward. Angela hesitated for a moment before following along as Betty guided her movements. Mike was full of anger. He wanted to rush inside and stop the nonsense, but he decided to see where his future wife would go with the strippers. "I need to greet the other friend," Betty said while releasing Angela. Angela continued as Betty turned her attention to the other stripper. 10 minutes later, Christine and Dolly took their turns. Soon afterward, they were all undressed. The 4 friends knelt on the couch, leaning against its back. Angela was the first to engage, followed by the others in turn. The 2 men switched partners after a while. They expressed their pleasure, eagerly continuing. Eventually, one of the men moved behind Angela, completing the act, followed by the other. Mike knew that he was not going to marry that cheating woman. He left his camera on the floor and quietly sneaked to the front where the vehicles were parked. He removed a pair of pliers from his bag and scratched the word "jerks" on the trunk of the car. He then took a screwdriver and punctured the 2 rear tires. "The scumbags won't notice it now, but they'll get a surprise midway to Louisville," Mike thought with a smile. He immediately returned to the back of the cottage. The 2 men had put their coats on and took their money from Betty. They left after deeply kissing all 4 women. They climbed into the car and drove away without noticing the tires. Betty closed the front door and turned towards her friends. "We should do this regularly." The other 3 nodded in cheers. "Once a month girls' night out, maybe?" Angela suggested. "Good thinking," Christine answered. They all laughed. "We still have the night ahead and lots of booze. Let's drink," Betty shouted with joy. Mike had enough. He took his camera and closed the back door. He felt beaten, he wanted to cry, and he had trusted her. He took his courage and walked in the dark to the SUV and slid under. With the pliers, he cut the cable ties and removed the GPS. He deflated all 4 tires and walked like a broken man to his car. On the following day, Sunday, at around noon, Mike arrived at Paul's place. "What's going on?" "I could feel something was not right from your phone call." Mike appeared to be worried. "Betty should have been here by 10. She's not taking my call. I'm getting her voicemail," Paul said. "Have you tried the others?" "Let me try Angela." Mike keyed the speed dial. "Nothing." "Try Christine's and Dolly's," Paul said. Mike called both girls, but none picked up the phone. "Have you sent her a message?" "Of course," replied a worried Paul. "What if something happened to them?" Mike took his phone and typed, "With Paul." He's worried. Betty is supposed to hear at 10. "Call me." He clicked send. "Let's wait for Angela to call me." Paul took 2 beer cans from the fridge and gave one to Mike. After half an hour, there was still no response from Angela. Mike, with anger, typed, "If you don't call me now, I'm breaking it off. Sometimes we should take the bull by the horns." Mike blinked at Paul. Immediately, his phone rang. "Are you out of your mind?" Angela yelled over the phone. "Paul and I are out of our mind right now. None of you took your phone. No one replied to our messages," Mike yelled back. "Don't!" "Where are you?" Mike cut her in. "We had a flat tire. We called the road service assistants and they'll be here soon." "Where are you?" Mike yelled. "You don't need to worry. It's only a flat tire." "I'll ask for the last time. Where are you?" Mike asked angrily. "Please calm down," Paul whispered. "We are at a cottage by Elmer Davis Lake." "Tell Betty to take her phone. Paul is calling her," Mike replied. Paul immediately dialed his wife and stepped a few feet away to talk to her. "Now you tell me why no one answered their phones when Paul called?" "We didn't want to worry him about the tires." "In fact, you worried us by not taking the phones. Call off the road assistants. We are coming and we'll fix the spare tire." "Where are you exactly?" "It's just that," Angela hesitated. "We have 4 flat tires." "What?" Mike was good at acting. "How could this happen?" "We don't know," she replied. "Then you better wait for road assistance." Mike eyed Paul. "Paul and I are driving to Louisville to have some fun." "What? What type of fun?" she asked. Mike hung up without answering Angela. "Call Ron and Al and see if they are interested in a boys' evening out." Mike blinked an eye at Paul. The 4 guys drove to Louisville that evening and had a blast. They had dinner, went to an adult club watching some pole dancing done by women, then ended up in a bar. It was hard for Mike to stay cool. During their last drink, before they hit the road, Mike raised his glass. "Okay, friends, I've a suggestion." "We are listening," the 3 others said simultaneously. "We won't have intimacy with our other halves till my honeymoon." "But why?" Paul asked. "Just to teach them that we are the men, and we are in control." "I agree," Ron cheered. "I second the motion. This is a good idea," rambled a drunken Al. "If everyone agrees, I won't say no," Paul smiled. "Let's hope each one of us will keep his word," Mike stated. "We will!" the 3 friends shouted at the same time. "And no one should spill the beans about what we did today," Mike emphasized. The following day, Angela called Mike and she wanted to know where he was and what he did with his friends the night before. The only thing she knew from Betty was that Paul came home late and drunk and went to sleep in the spare bedroom. The others have not said anything, or else the girls would have already known, Mike thought. "See, Angela, I don't know where all of you were during your party and what you did. Why do you want to know about us?" Mike asked. "I told you we were at a cottage. We drank, ate, danced, and exchanged some naughty stories," Angela replied. "You told me you were at the cottage after your party and after several unanswered phone calls. We drank, ate, danced, and exchanged some naughty stories." "Oh, that's all?" Angela questioned. "What do you think? We went out to have an affair with the whole town?" Mike was aggressive. I need to calm down, he thought. No, I didn't mean such things. I know you won't do that. You're right. I would never do such things. We're exclusive, aren't we? Mike asked. Yes, of course we are. Mike could notice fear in Angela's voice. One important thing, according to family tradition, we should not have any contact till we meet in the church. What? Angela questioned. Yes, Angela. I would like to respect it. Hope you'll understand. Yes, darling, I understand, Angela replied. Good. See you at the altar. Angela was still shocked when Mike hung up with a click sound. He was cold. No more darling, sweetheart, honey, I love you. It could be the premarital anxiety, Angela told herself. Mike stood at the altar with the priest behind him. Paul, Ron, and Al as groomsmen, and Betty, Christine, and Dolly as bridesmaids stood on either side. The church was packed with guests. The wedding march was being played, and Peter walked his daughter Angela down the aisle. She really looked like an angel in her wedding dress. Dearly beloved, the priest started the ceremony, we are gathered here today. Excuse me, Father, Mike cut him off. Before you begin, I have a few things to say. It won't be long. Everyone was taken aback, their eyes on Mike. It's not a common procedure, son, the priest said, but if you won't take long, go ahead. Thank you, Father. Mike smiled at the priest and then at Angela. What are you going to say? Angela whispered to Mike. Don't worry, Mike whispered back and turned towards the guests. The first time I met Angela was here, in this church more than a year ago. For me, it was love at first sight. When Paul told me that she was single with no boyfriend, my mission was to conquer her heart. And I succeeded. We dated for a year till I asked her to be my wife. And you all know her answer. Everyone laughed. The priest shook his head with a smile. I love you, Angela whispered. Mike nodded. When we started dating, we made the promise to be exclusive. I kept my promise. Today, our wedding vows will contain these 3 words, forsaking all others. Honey, where are you going with this? Angela was a bit worried. Forsaking all others does not mean someone having the intention to cheat after being married, Mike yelled. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. Angela and her 3 friends stood with a look of fear on their faces. Paul frowned at Mike. 1 hour ago, I got a call, Mike lied. It was a private number, and a woman's voice recommended that I go watch a video online. She gave me the link, which I am going to forward to you. Mike removed his cell phone and started sending text messages. I'm sending it to you too, Father. Mike turned to the priest. What is he talking about? Betty asked Angela. What video? Dolly asked. I don't know, Angela cried. Those of you who didn't receive my text, you can turn to someone who is watching it, Mike added. The guests made small groups. Paul, Ron, and Al had their eyes fixed on their screen. Betty, Christine, and Dolly clung to Angela. This is a video from Angela's Bachelorette party. Mike turned towards ABCDs. The 4 stood there frozen. And listen to how they intend to have such a party once a month. I knew she was a cheating woman, Mary shouted. Josh held his wife's arm and shook his head at her. There was a sudden uproar. Cheating woman, Paul yelled at Betty. Don't come home today. I'm throwing all your things on the street. Take your back wherever you want. I'm divorcing you. Betty started to cry. I love you. All of you had unprotected intimacy. I don't know what types of diseases all of you are carrying right now, Paul stormed back. Children, please calm down. You're in the house of God. Please respect that. The priest tried his best to calm the situation. Julie turned towards Mary with a fierce look. My daughter is not a cheating woman. Then she should be a disgrace, a voice from the back shouted. I would like to humiliate Betty, another voice said. Please, you are in a church, the priest pleaded over the cacophony going on in the church. Mike sensed that Paul would get aggressive. He herded his 3 friends away towards the entrance. "It was not my idea, Paul. You should believe me," Betty tried hard to explain. "What?" Christine and Dolly lashed out together. "Have you forgotten you were the one who organized your own bachelorette party?" Christine spat. "The following day I had to buy you the morning after pill," Dolly shouted. "Please, Mike, it was a mistake. Don't leave me, please. I love you," Angela begged. "A mistake which has been planned for days or even weeks," Mike yelled. "Don't listen to this cheating woman, Mike," Mary said. "Listen to your mom, son," Josh added. "Say something, Peter." Julie was irritated. "What do you want me to say? If I was in Mike's place, I would slap Angela before leaving her at the altar," Peter replied, grinding his teeth. He then stood up and walked towards Mike. "I'm sorry, son. Really sorry." He then walked out of the church, drying his tears. Ron removed a ring and showed it to Christine, shook his head, and put it back in his pocket. Christine knelt down and cried. Mike removed 2 airplane tickets and handed them to his father. "I've changed the names to yours and Mom. I've already instructed the driver of the limo. He will take both of you home. Take your passports and a suitcase. He'll then drive both of you to the airport. You will like the Seychelles." "But son, you should not. Both of you badly need a vacation. Enjoy." "What are you going to do?" Mary asked anxiously. "We are going to celebrate our singlehood," Paul intervened. Like teenagers, the 4 men ran outside and rushed to Paul's car. Everyone started to walk out of the church, leaving the 4 friends and Julie behind. "I will have to make my report with the evidence I have," the priest told the women. "I truly hope to see all of you in confession." He turned back and walked away. "Come on, darling, let's go." Julie took Angela's arm. "You'll certainly find someone better." "He's the best I ever met," Angela sighed. "Can I come to your place till I sort things out?" Betty asked Christine and Dolly. "No way, after you tried to backstab us?" Angela turned towards the 3 women. "Do like me, leave this town. It's so humiliating that I won't be able to face the people here." She mopped her eyes and accompanied her mother to the exit. 3 years later. San Jose, California. In a little church in the suburb of the city, a groom was standing at the altar waiting for the bride to walk down the aisle. Suddenly, 2 young tattooed men, with piercings everywhere, invaded the building and distributed flyers to all the guests. The sudden attack caused all of the guests to be bewildered. One of the men ran to the groom and handed him a flyer. "She is a good love-making woman." He laughed and ran away. Both left the church, yelling insanity towards the bride. The groom looked at the pictures on the flyer and read a website address. He glanced at the guests. They were all on their cell phones. He removed his. Mike's phone rang. He did not recognize the number. "Why did you do this to me? Why?" sobbed Angela. "Angela? Is it you? What happened? What are you talking about?" Mike asked. "You know well what I'm talking about." "I really don't know what's going on. You tell me," Mike pressed. "You have destroyed my wedding. This is what you did. It's your revenge on me." "I'm sorry for what happened to you. I don't even know where you went after you left Georgetown," Mike replied. "To whom are you talking to, darling?" Angela could hear a feminine voice in the background. "Listen, I just arrived from my 2nd honeymoon. We were in the Seychelles this time. Remember Seychelles? I've not yet opened my suitcase." "Who is that?" Angela could hear the female voice again, but was irritated this time. "It's Angela, my ex," Mike replied. "Oh, the cheating woman. What does the adult star want?" "I don't know, she's crying. Something with her wedding, I think," Mike replied to his wife. "It's good for her. Honey, will you have your phone number changed, please?" Angela just hung up, buried her face in the pillow, and continued to cry. 6 months later. Tacoma, Washington. Mike pulled his rented car into the parking lot of a mall opposite a church where a wedding ceremony would soon be celebrated. He sipped on his coffee and observed the entrance of the building. He was against this idea at the beginning, but had to surrender to Paul's continuous persuasion attempts. He was keeping close tabs on Angela and Betty. He was the one responsible for Angela's wedding. He flew to San Jose and organized everything. He had some pictures taken from the famous Bachelorette party video and had them printed with the website address. Now it was Mike's turn to return the favor. In the meantime, Paul has taken his new wife to Las Vegas. The perfect alibi, if ever someone asked questions. Mike's eyes were fixed on the entrance, and suddenly he saw the groom rush outside. With anger, he removed the small bells tied to the trunk of his car. He tore off the "Just Married" sign and threw it away with rage. At the same time, Betty, in her wedding dress, ran to him, pleading. She was crying. The groom pushed her away, entered his car, and sped off. Mike put the engine on and drove to the airport. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.